Hiya, it's Amanda here from Lolli Lulu Crafts, and today I have an Altenew card for you made using some of the products that we saw in last week's haul. I know that I did ask you guys what one you'd like to see, and I haven't completely ignored that. It's just that I had a get well card to do and I really wanted to use this particular flower for that card, so I haven't ignored what your comments say, but as I say, I had to kind of ignore it. So I hope you forgive me, but we will get to those in due course and do some of the ones that you have mentioned. So in the meantime, let's get crafting with this one. So for this card, I'm using a card base that's 5x7, and to give myself a guide as to the front of the card, all I'm doing is drawing around it. This is just so that I've got a stamping guide, so that I can see exactly the sizing when I'm stamping, and it just makes it easier to know that I'm fitting it within the boundaries of my card. Now on this particular stamp set, they've actually got a colour suggestion, so I thought I would follow that for this time. So I've got the three colours here: bamboo, olive and moss. Then we've got soft lilac, lavender fields, deep iris and midnight violet. So first of all, I'm starting out with my sort of front flower because I'm going to have one sitting behind the other. So this is my front one, and I'm positioning it in the middle, and I'm starting off with the palest colour in the violet set, and then I'm going to work my way up each layer with the next deepest colour. This is a pretty simple set to match up. You really almost can't get it wrong. There's some easy bits that you can obviously the point, and then there's some bits at the bottom that you can just layer up, and it just sort of works really simply. And to be honest, it's such a sort of fuzzy flower, if that makes sense. It's such a busy flower. If it's not perfect, you're really not going to see that it's not perfect. So you can see I'm just building this up with the different layers, and I just think it looks really pretty. I mean, obviously you're going to try and get it reasonably right, but I mean, as I say, if it's not 100%, it's going to be okay, but I think you can fairly see where it's meant to go. Then the last layer that we've got is actually the little centres of the flowers. Now they took a little bit more lining up because I do obviously want those relatively in the right place, and for these I used pure graphite ink. I liked that rather than black because it's got a slight sort of lavendery tone, even though it's a grey. It's heading towards that sort of bluey tone of grey, and so it's matched in with the colours of the flowers really well. So now we're on to the stalks, and as you can see, it looks really bright at this point. Don't panic, it's going to turn out okay. And for this one, you're basically just lining up that little piece at the top there with your flower, and other than that, you haven't got a lot to do on the first layer. And then the second layer, obviously you just want to make sure that the leaves, the points of the leaves match up, etc. Now for this one, there's just 3 layers, so there's just those 3 colours. I will, as you always, put a list with links of all the products that I've used on the actual blog post. To get to the blog post, all you need to do is, if you're on YouTube, go to the paragraph below this video and click where it says show more, and then you'll see the link down there. So next, I'm put some masking over that centre flower because, as you saw, using that die just to help me position where the flowers are going to be, that second flower on the right hand side is going to overlap our first one. Now because I'd already shown you the stamping of the flower, I'm not going through that in detail again, but you can just see how this time, once I've positioned the flowers, I've just literally doing each layer on both flowers as we go along, rather than one complete flower at a time. So as before, we're now moving on to the stalks of our flowers. However, what I've done is, because the top of the stalks nestle into the flowers and they're pretty forgiving in how they do that, I've just angled the stalks slightly differently just to give a bit of interest. So I think that works really nicely. So now on to the sentiment, and this one, as well as the main stamp set, is also taken from that haul that I showed you in last week's video, so do check that video out if you haven't seen it. So I've taken these 2 sentiments from this set. However, the one that says hope you feel better soon was a little bit long, so I'm just snipping that in half, and it's not harming the stamp in any way. As long as you don't snip through a letter, you'll be fine. And obviously you can always stick them back to in one line if you want to. That's going to be no problem. And I stamped that in the graphite again, just to get that sort of softer dark look, and then just removed my mask, and you can see how that all came together. Then I just cut it down to 4 3/4 by 6 3/4, because I'm going to matte and layer that using this lovely lavender card onto my 5 by 7 card base. The lavender card I cut to 4 7/8 by 6 7/8, and obviously I did 2 of those, one for the inside, because I just thought that would add, again, one, a little bit of extra weight on the back because I'm putting 2 layers on the front, but also just it made it look pretty when you opened the card. And I just went for a very soft lavender. I wanted it very delicate, just, you know, almost not there, just, you know, just a very delicate look. And then following that obviously with my stamped layer. Next, just as a final touch, I added a little stickles to the flowers just to give them a little bit of movement, and that is it. The video seems quite short because obviously with the stamping there's a lot of repeating, so I didn't want to show you all of that. But obviously the card is not long to make, but it obviously is longer than about 7 minutes that this video is. But it's one of the more simple flowers from Altenew, I would say. If you're worried about the layering, this is quite a nice one to start off with, because it's quite hard to get wrong with such a busy flower, and it's so pretty as well. I think it's turned out really well. So that is it for this week. I hope you've enjoyed. Don't forget to go on across to the blog post so that you can take a look at the photos and also the links to the products used. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again soon. Bye for now. Bye.
He says he loves me, as long as the day is white from morning to night. Standing in there, hands in my hair, lost for words. Where do you wanna be? I'm talking about you and me. What do you want? What do you see? And where is forever residing? A girl's gotta make her peace with a man to understand things. Clear out the way, the drive of the day, darling. Where do